First thing I want to bring up is the Grimaldi Man, and I'll put pictures over somewhere. I'll probably just full screen. And the Grimaldi Man is a skeleton, or two skeletons, that were found in Italy in the Grimaldi. There's a family called the Grimaldi family, and it was on their land in a cave called the Cave of the Children. And what they did is they found these bodies, and it's black people. They can tell by the way the skulls, like different parts of the everything, and they uh, they found out that black people were in Italy 35,000 years ago. All right, and not only were black people in Italy, they were the first Cro-Magnons. So while white people were still having sloped foreheads and uh, banging rocks together and stuff, the black people were in Italy actually with the same teeth we have, the same brain structure, or the same skull structure we have, and mostly the same brain structure. We think that humans are a little bit better now, but it's debatable. Uh, we've basically been the same for the past 35,000 years, and black people were first. And in Italy, in the Grimaldi Man, if you look it up. Italy is not a European is not a, they're not white. White people actually come from the Caucasus Mountains in Russia, and then also not just the Grimaldi Man, but the Venus of Willendorf. All right, the Venus of Willendorf is a little statuette that was found in Germany, and if you look at it, I'll put this picture. It's not a white woman. The hair is black. It's like little BBs, and then it's black people, even when it happens on their hair, they call it BBs. Like I've seen on Martin and stuff, and and then on it compared the Venus of Willendorf to the Hottentot Venus, which is the Hottentots were a tribe, and they had this woman with a huge ass, and it looks just like the Venus of Willendorf. And if all right, Australian hieroglyphs. Look at Australian hieroglyphs. People are just brushing them off as fake because they're unorganized and there's no reason for them to be there. So that's the reason that people are saying no, they're fake. But there's no developmental period for Egyptian hieroglyphs. There's no developmental period. Hieroglyphs just exist. They just are as good as they just mean what they mean. They're there. They're being written, and we have no idea where they came from. This kind of proves that they came from over there. And I'm gonna do it with a map in a second. I'll show you. It's how the Aboriginals. All right, Aboriginal means away from the originals. And there's black people that live on Australia, that live on all the different islands and stuff. And they were the first people in Australia. Australia has white people on it because it was a prison island. The British people used to send all their prisoners there and stuff, and then they just left them there, and then the white people just colonized because they were prisoners there. And there was tribes there already though, and those tribes got there. If you read, they got there 70,000 years ago. All right, and I'll grab this right now. All right, if you look at this map, it says in the thing. If you look up Aboriginals, they came from over by Egypt and Ethiopia. All right here. This like sea, the Red Sea. They came from over there and went to Australia. They say they went through Asia, but they did it on boats. There's no way you don't have boats doing this, and that's 70,000 years ago. 70,000 years ago, they made this trip. All right, that's 70,000 years ago. They made that trip to Australia. All right, who's to say they didn't go back? And that's where the hieroglyphs came from and stuff. And also, it wouldn't be hard to go this distance. All right, that's Africa to America. That's Africa to America and Europe to Greenland. And I've already proven they were in Germany. There's Germany right there. Here's Italy right here. It wouldn't be that difficult, all right? And I'm gonna bring up some other evidence that has to do with this in a second. Uh, During the time of Hannibal, the Greeks and everybody, they had just figured out how to get deep into the sea and how to take over the sea. Before that, Africa had owned the Mediterranean Sea. The Greeks and everything were just traders. They traded on the ocean and they were allowed to do different things, but they couldn't go too deep. They couldn't battle. They couldn't take over the sea until the time of Hannibal. And before that, the Phoenicians, we don't have much history for them, so we don't know exactly what they did, but we do know that they had boats that could go out into the ocean. We just don't know how far they went. But I'm about to bring up some stuff that has to do with that. And it was believed that the southern part of Africa didn't even exist. The maps that we have from that time, they didn't believe the southern part of Africa existed. They didn't know America existed. None of it. The people that we look at in history, that we say, what did we know at that time? they didn't know very much, and that was not everybody. Alright, there was a colony called Roanoke, alright? Oh, no, first, okay, before that, if you go on the other side, I'll bring up a map for right here. If you go on the other side of, oh wait, the map is right there. Alright, if you go on the other side of, over by Australia and stuff, alright? By Australia, right next to it, New Zealand, there's a bird called the Moa Bird, alright? The Moa Bird, and they don't know how it got there. It's a flightless bird, and they have no idea how it got on the island. I'm pretty sure it got there by traders. The Egyptians and the Australians having boats and stuff, they came to different places and they dropped off stuff, and that's how it got there. And then the people there call themselves the Maori. That's just what they call themselves. This is M-A-O-R. All right, like the Moors throughout history have been called different. There's been different spellings, and these are exactly it's the same. All right, and then the Samoas and the Samoans, Moa again, and then Roanoke. All right, this isn't. I'm not saying that the Oa has anything to do with it, but Roanoke. If you look up Roanoke, it's a colony that was made in Virginia. All right, it was the first white colony in America, the first one ever. All right, and it was before Jamestown. Jamestown was 615, and that's the one we point to as the first one. But Roanoke was the real first one. It's just everybody there disappeared, so we don't count it. They just disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to them at all. All right, but there's different ideas of what happened to them, and I'm going to share some stuff that because people try to figure out what happened to those people, different things have been pointed out, and nobody looks at them generally. Everybody looks at them in the context of Roanoke, but I'm going to point them out in the context of the Moors and in the context of the Egyptians traveling out. All right, in Roanoke, around 1612, there were reportedly various Indian settlements who had white prisoners. All right, various settlements in 1612, and it was about 1580 when they did the Roanoke settlement, and then in 1612 there were reportedly various Indian settlements with white prisoners. Not just one settlement. All right, various Indian settlements with white prisoners. 1612. 4 Englishmen, 2 boys, and 1 girl were seen with the Eno tribe. All right, and these are the scribes for the Jamestown settlement. They wrote all this stuff down so that they could share it with the British, just tell what had happened, and if they died, somebody could come read it. And this is multiple accounts of white people with Indians. This isn't just one thing that happened and they say, oh, maybe that's the Roanoke people. No, this is multiple different things where there was already white people in America before we ever got here. All right. The Croatoans on Hatteras Island used to live on Roanoke Island, claimed to have white ancestry, and they had gray eyes. No other Indians had gray eyes. These ones had gray eyes. And in John Lawson's 1709, A New Voyage to Carolina, that's where this is from. John Lawson's 1709, A New Voyage to Carolina, page 48. He talks about how they had gray eyes and they claimed to have white ancestry just like 20 years after the other people had gone there. And this is one tribe, and then the other tribe had they had white people in their settlements, multiple ones. All right, and then in 1696, the Tuscarosa had blonde hair and blue eyes. So about 100 years after the Roanoke settlement, there's blonde hair and blue-eyed Indians that they found, and this is when there's still just one white settlement, Jamestown, and this is hundreds of miles away from these blue-haired, blonde-eyed Indians. I'm thinking that these white people, when the first settlement, they found other people just like them, and they were like, oh my God, we don't need to be building this settlement. We can go live with the Indians. They already have everything we have. And if you look up the underwater road in the Bahamas and the underwater road in Japan, or the underwater structure in Japan, there's things just like the pyramids and stuff almost in underwater in the Bahamas and underwater in Japan. All right, John Smith, we all know who that was. John Smith was, when he got here, he was tasked with finding the Roanoke colony. They said, figure out what happened to them because they just died, or did the Spanish kill them? What happened? And then a chief from the Powhatans said he had wiped them out along with an enemy tribe they lived with, which was the Chesapeake Indians. And reportedly, this chief, the Powhatan, he showed them a bunch of English iron English made items, but he didn't show them any bodies. So we don't know what happened there. And if you look up the last Tasmanian, the Tasmanians were black too. All right, Indian settlements. I'll put it up here. Peckerinek and Okahurin. Secretary in Jamestown wrote about in 1612 they found Indians with 2-story houses and stone walls. Indians that already had 2-story houses and stone walls when the white people got there. And we don't know what happened to the ones that we left, the other white people that were left there. I just wanted to share that stuff, Roanoke and all that. I don't know why it's not talked about more, and the fact that all these natives are either lied about or black. And all right, peace.